Spider-Man 3 movie review. First comes a bit of the trailer.
I need your help. I have to stop it.
This could be the end of Spider-Man.
I'll turn that off. Sorry about that little entrance there. I wanted to try something a little bit different, so I added a little bit of the sound of a trailer in it. So anyway, now this review has been postponed for 2 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, and as Webboys40's request, I apologise for postponing this review. But anyway, here it is now, my review for Spider-Man 3. Now this is the final instalment of the Spider-Man series, and that little opening I suppose is meant to be a tribute to the trilogy, which I own. And I have to say this is my personal favourite of the 3 films. Mainly because of all the different elements that this movie progressed, contained as it went on. But anyway, so let's get 1 and 2 are still awesome, but what did I think about number 3? So let's carry on. Now, plot of Spider-Man 3, it takes place pretty much right after Spider-Man 2. Now, for those of you who have seen it, if you haven't seen it, it's a spoiler, so don't watch this. It's where Peter and MJ finally get together, even though there was a bit of concern at the end of Spider-Man 2 on Mary Jane's behalf about what she's got herself into. And at the start of this film, you find that everything's going well for Peter Parker. He's having the job, he's having the girl of his dreams. City loves Spider-Man, and he just feels top of the world. Until one day, he finds out that the man who killed his uncle, who we think did in Spider-Man 1, didn't really kill his uncle, what the new villain, Flint Marko, aka Sandman, did. Combining himself with some a black alien symbiote, which influences Peter's behaviour for the worst, he then goes off after Marko, and the movie itself is about many people fighting their dark side, particularly Peter's side for revenge. So, and of course he's got to think of Harry Osborn and all the other drama stuff that goes on, whatever is thrown into this movie. Anyway, that's the plot out of the way. So let's get into the pros and cons of the film. Okay, pros. Now let's say that the acting is pretty good. The acting's pretty much stayed the same as it has throughout the 3 films, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. Tobey Maguire, I liked how he was able to try and play a different Peter Parker in this film, as in one who has more of a personality, I think, and explores dark sides that people generally have within their lives. Kirsten Dunst was much, much better as Mary Jane in the 2nd and 3rd films, I felt, than she was in the first 2. First one, sorry. Yeah. She really portrayed the emotion of her character pretty well, even though she didn't have too much to work with, but hey-ho. Harry Osborn, same old as James Franco, same old as Harry Osborn, nothing really too special. The 3 new additions you could really say, 2 are major, 1's minor. The minor one is Bryce Dallas Howard as Gwen Stacy, and really, to be honest, I don't know if she really needed to be there as much as she was, but she carried her performance, so decent, it's watchable. Thomas Hayden Church as Sandman. Now, I liked how he played the sympathetic side of the villains, whereas the previous ones, yes, they have their own needs and desires, but there's never quite a real purpose for what's going on. It's always an evil deed or something, whereas Sandman, I like how he wants to help his daughter, so I think that's a plus right there. Topher Grace I thought was excellent as Eddie Brock, and particularly the sequences where he's Venom. I really think that he just excelled at what he was doing. Now the other person I forgot to mention is J.K. Simmons, who is hilarious as always as J. Jonah Jameson. Particularly but even though he's not as noticeable in this film as he was in Spider-Man 2. Anyway, so let's get out of the acting, so I've blabbered on about that too much. Okay, what else did I love about Spider-Man 3? The action in this movie is phenomenal. Particularly the end finale sequence with the construction site with Spider-Man and Harry Osborn fighting Sandman and Venom. Brilliantly done, And it's interesting how the 2 friends have to work together for that climax, which I think was really entertaining also. CGI effects are fantastic. They really did a good job on improving the technology as the films progress. So I really appreciated how visually the films have become more interesting. And even for me, story-wise, the films have become more interesting because let's get into another thing. The story in this movie I thought was the best of the 3. I thought that the story was pretty well told, even though it could have been told a bit better. I think that I like how there was certain elements of different genres. There was drama, there was a bit of comedy, there was a bit of a musical in there. Despite the fact it's still an action superhero film. So really I liked how it all blended it nicely together, and it wasn't and it's definitely not a mess like some stupid critics are complaining it is, including Roger Ebert, who claimed rubbishly that the film was a mess, too many subplots, storylines, blah blah blah. Yes, there's a lot of subplots and storylines in this film that maybe didn't necessarily need to be there, but the film is definitely not a mess. I followed it straight and perfectly fine. And it's as James Rolfe rightly said, no matter what happens to this one, someone is still going to find something to complain about. I mean, I love The Dark Knight. The Dark Knight's my favourite film of all time, but there will be someone out there who complains about that. You can't stop it. And I think some fans need to be a bit more accepting of that fact, And particularly when confused, Matthew kept bashing Spider-Man 3, which I'll admit when watching his review there was some good points that he made and whatnot. But anyways, I'm getting off topic. Like I say, I still love Spider-Man 3. So, other pros. Pacing, not too greatly affected. The drama sequences, yeah, they do go on for a bit longer than necessary. But I do admit that they actually were interesting for me, because I was still hooked into it until the action sequences came in. This is kind of like the similar problem you have with Iron Man 2, which came out earlier this year. Which is that sometimes the pacing is a little bit off, but the drama and the acting is so good that you are hooked, for me at least, you're hooked into it until the battle sequences come in. So this movie definitely isn't perfect though, it's not without its problems. Okay, the script, while not poorly written, it's subpar. It's just about... The script, this definitely has the weakest script of the three. It just kind of... The script feels a little bit more cliched and whatnot, and it just felt a little bit of a letdown, and they could have just written more signature lines in than that. Also, I hated sometimes Mary Jane's character. This isn't down to Kirsten Dunst, this is down to the writers of the script. There's one scene, right, where she's just come out of looked at a bad review for a singing voice at the start of the film, which is hers, by the way. And, and Peter Parker tries to console her, saying, Spider-Man gets this all the time, and she gets this bitchy attitude. It's kind of like sometimes, Mary Jane, sometimes you're just unreasonable to talk to, How can you get sympathetic if you're not going to let people finish their bloody sentences? Anyways, but look, those are nitpicks for me. Overall, guys, I think that Spider-Man 3 was definitely not a waste of money like people are saying it is. And I'll admit, yeah, I mean, it's not the greatest superhero film ever made, it definitely isn't without its problems. But for me, Spider-Man 3 is definitely an underrated movie, and it hasn't got a lot of credit that I think it should get. And this is my personal favourite of the three movies. So, I mean, and I'm pretty glad to own the trilogy on DVD. It's just a real unfortunate shame that the series isn't being left as it is. Instead, we're going to probably get the Spider-Man reboot. I mean, I personally would have liked Spider-Man 4, but hey-ho. I mean, if the reboot's crap, I'll forget it ever existed, and I'll just admire the great trilogy of movies that has already been established. But a message for people who don't like Spider-Man... I know I'm blabbing on a bit here, but a message for people who don't like Spider-Man 3, just either watch my review again or watch James Rolfe's review, and pay attention to that message. I mean, there's been movie examples where, look, for example, I didn't like Twilight New Moon whatsoever. But I accept that there will be people who like it. I just think it was pretty much crap compared to the first one. I mean, that's a good example of it. And like I say, The Dark Knight, people will complain about The Dark Knight, even though, for me, that's my favourite film of all time. So to sum things up, guys, Spider-Man 3, I think, is a worthy conclusion to the Spider-Man trilogy. It's definitely not getting a positive attention that I think it should be getting, and it was something different than its previous films in the genre. And I'm going to give it 4.5 stars out of 5. It's definitely not perfect, it's not without its problems, but it's a great trilogy of movies, it's fantastic, and I really recommend it to anyone who likes action films. So thank you, Wetboy40, for requesting me to do the Spider-Man movie reviews, and apologies that my Spider-Man 3 review came up pretty late in the game. But hey-ho, right? So anyways, I'm going to give it 4.5 stars, and hopefully the Spider-Man review will be good, but we will find out in 2 years' time. Who knows, in 2 years, you may find me sitting in front of the camera here, doing a review for it. So, I'll end with a little bit on the trailer. So until next time, YouTube, Michael Bowers, swinging out of your screens, and then we'll swing back to 2012.
I need your help. I have to stop it.
Okay, one last note. P.S. That is a great trailer. And an amazing movie as well. See you next time.